Welcome to the Google Cloud Update, your weekly digest of what's new and noteworthy in the world of Google Cloud. We've got a fantastic lineup for you this week, covering releases from September 8th through the 12th, 2025. It's a packed episode, so let's get right to it. First up, we'll dive into some major database updates, with Cloud SQL connectivity improvements. Then, we'll talk about a boatload of new features for BigQuery, including a ton of new Gemini-powered capabilities now in preview. After that, we'll cover some important security news, including a high-severity GKE vulnerability you'll want to patch, and some great updates for Cloud Run. We'll also touch on new releases for Dataproc, Dataflow, and some platform-wide improvements that will make managing your projects a whole lot easier. And of course, we'll wrap up with the latest GKE version updates. Let's get started. Now, let's talk about BigQuery. The team has been incredibly busy, with a flood of new features hitting both preview and GA. Let's start with what's now generally available. The batch and interactive SQL translators now cache your metadata, which should give you a nice latency boost when running translations. Also GA are default connections, allowing you to configure reusable default connections to cloud resources within a project. Now for the really fun stuff in preview. Gemini is getting even more integrated into BigQuery. It will now recommend natural language prompts for you in the SQL generation tool, making it even easier to get the query you need. The data science agent also got smarter. You can now use Apache Spark or PySpark keywords in your prompts. Plus, there are some handy new shortcuts. Use the @ symbol to search for BigQuery tables in your project and the plus symbol to search for files to upload. Thinking about a migration? There's a new BigQuery migration assessment tool for Informatica, now in preview, to help you scope out the complexity. And there's more. You can now load files from cloud storage directly in BigQuery data preparations, add tables and views as tasks in your BigQuery pipelines, and include table parameters when creating table-valued functions. And one final change. For you ML fans, you can now perform supervised tuning on a BigQuery ML remote model that's based on a Vertex AI Gemini 2.5 Pro or Flashlight model. That's a lot of power packed into one update. Moving on to our favorite serverless platform, Cloud Run. We have two fantastic features hitting general availability. First, you can now deploy and configure a multi-region service from a single G-Cloud command, or by using a YAML or Terraform file. Building for high availability and low latency just got a whole lot simpler. And on the security front, Cloud Run Threat Detection is now also generally available. This service helps you detect and respond to threats like suspicious binaries, shell scripts, reverse shells, and library loading, right within your Cloud Run services. Speaking of security, let's cover some important bulletins and features. First, a security bulletin. GCP 2025-050 addresses a high-severity vulnerability, CVE 2025-38500, which was discovered in the Linux kernel and can lead to privilege escalation on container-optimized OS nodes. GKE standard clusters are impacted. So what should you do? You need to upgrade your container-optimized OS node pools to the patched versions listed in the bulletin. We'll link to them in the show notes, but for a quick reference, the patched versions start at 1.33.4 GKE 1036000 and go down through minor version 1.28. If you're running GKE Autopilot or GKE Sandbox, you are not impacted. Again, please check the bulletin and upgrade your nodes as soon as possible. Now for some good news. Assured Open Source Software, or Assured OSS, now supports Go packages, giving you access to the same vetted open source packages that Google uses internally. And the Security Command Center Premium has seen a number of user interface improvements. The risk overview page has been enhanced to give you a single view of threats, vulnerabilities, and misconfigurations. And there are new predefined filters on the findings page. Finally, for those of you working with generative AI, the Model Armor Monitoring Dashboard is now in preview. It provides a centralized view to track interactions and violations related to your models, helping you keep your AI workloads secure. Let's quickly cover some updates for our other data services. For Dataflow, you can now use secure tags to set firewall rules on your worker VMs, giving you more granular network control. And there are some huge announcements for Dataproc. Now in preview is Dataproc on Compute Engine Image version 3.0, which ships with Spark 4. Also in preview is the serverless for Apache Spark 3.0 runtime, also based on Spark 4. It's great to see the latest and greatest features from the Spark ecosystem landing on Google Cloud. We also have a few great quality of life updates for the platform as a whole. You can now use tags to visually distinguish your projects based on their environment, like production, staging, or development. This adds a visual indicator right in the Google Cloud Console to help prevent errors when you're working in sensitive environments. A simple change that can make a huge difference. For those managing policies at scale, there are 8 new organization policy constraints for Compute Engine in preview, helping you enforce security best practices like requiring OS login or disabling nested virtualization. And in that same vein, you can now use custom constraints with organization policy for both the Livestream API and Cloud Deploy. All right, for all of our GKE admins out there, it's that time of the week. We have a fresh batch of version updates for the week. As always, these rollouts can take a few days to reach all zones. Let's hit the highlights for each channel. In the Rapid channel, the new default version for cluster creation is 1.33.4-GKE.117200. For the regular channel, the new default is 1.33.4-GKE.1036000. In the stable channel, there's no new default, but new patch releases are available for versions 1.30 and 1.32. And finally, for the extended channel, the new default version is now 1.33.4-GKE.1036000. Of course, there are many new available versions and auto-upgrade targets across all channels, as well as a list of versions that are no longer available. For the full detailed breakdown, please check the official release notes. And to wrap up, a quick look at library updates. The Go library for PubSub saw a couple of patch releases with bug fixes and documentation updates. And for Node.js, the cloud logging library received a bug fix where specifying resource names will now correctly fetch logs only from those resources. And that's a wrap for this week's Google Cloud Update. From default private Service Connect endpoints in Cloud SQL to the arrival of Spark 4 in Dataproc, there's a lot to dig into. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for another dose of Google Cloud news.